friends, and welcome back to the Atlantic front. It's been an exciting day. The South Carolina area and most of North Carolina got a huge amount of snow. Now, when I mean huge amount of snow for this area, any snow is huge snow. We probably did get anywhere from 0.20, I think, was at the Charlotte airport. The amount of snow, of course, is always the problem, but I wanted to show you guys the next real system that we all have to take into account. So right now, let's go straight to the map. So we have in a loop right now on our friends, the Radar Lab National at WeatherTap, and thank you so much. We have, it looks like a mixing event down into the sand hills of North Carolina, and then of course even touching some of the coast, but Raleigh and Sanford and most of Jacksonville, Fayetteville, they're all getting hammered with some really moderate snow. So it looks like it's going up the coastline into a mild nor'easter. So you can see how it's moving forward, going up the coast here. I want to say that that was expected, but it wasn't necessarily the most expected thing that I believe we anticipated that it was going to do that, because the tracking was looking more like this. So we're going to go ahead and show you that. So the tracking was, this area here was the low. And then if you watched any of my videos before, there were 3 tracks like this, and like this. So what it did was it came in the time frame that we thought it was going to come in at, but it meandered around right there. And then what ended up occurring is that when it got out here into the Atlantic, it started spinning this back end rotational feeder off of the Atlantic Ocean that kept spinning all of this. So you're seeing a lot of that spin come off of this. Why does that really mean anything for us? Well, in the South Carolina, North Carolina area, that means a whole lot, because what is occurring is you see now, this is now coming down into, you can see the system, it's forming right here. So the formation of that system is right in here. That's what it is. So there was, ironically, there was a low system that got created over here, and then there was another low system that was out here that was lying in wait. So as this moved out, this stayed, and then it combined into this one large low like this. That's what ended up happening. Now, when you have that combination, this guy out here in the Gulf, as he moved out, it pressured this guy, pressured this. So the pressures of both, and then you had the high pressure that was coming out of the top here. So all this high pressure up here, and this beautiful amount of cold air came down like this. And once it did that, you had this almost a compression event. You had the low pressure Gulf formed. Then you had the other low and more of an Atlantic low that comes out from, we usually see this in the summertime. So you had 2 of those come together with a high pressure that was freezing everything along the way. So it compressed. Now, the only thing that made this probably not the most historic storm ever was the fact that the high was absolutely as dry as can be. So you had a dry air mass that came straight down against that one low, against these areas here, against our friend, the low pressure, and then our little friend over here, all got compressed. They could have been unbelievable historic storms from a winter perspective, but that dry air really got in and said, no, we're not going to do that. So the amount of the precipitation that we did see here, that line right there, this low ended up becoming a not as strong as we thought. So it couldn't push up against it. So it left a lot of dry air, or a dry air mass that kind of scooped it out, almost scooped out everything. So we did get some snow in the area, but it was depressed. and it didn't have the moisture that was going to be retained and or compete against that high pressure system that was a mini polar vortex, because we are going to get an enormous amount of frigid air. And we're going to show you guys what that looks like and what this system right here is going to do. Before we get to the February 20th and what is upcoming, let's just take a look back a few hours, because I took some video for you and I think you'll enjoy it. Let's watch.
It's a live update. This is about an hour before everything gets going here. We're in the upstate of South Carolina here, and temperature's dropping pretty rapidly. You can see the darker clouds out in the distance, and it looks like it's going to do something out here. I don't know what it's going to do, but we're going to go ahead and take the dog for a walk before we do it, or before anything comes in here. So, like I said, I don't know how much is going to end up happening. As it happens, I'll make sure and show you guys, but temperature is dropping. It's around 11:45-ish, and we're waiting till around 12:30, 1 o'clock for some things to start to happen around here. The breeze that comes in feels 10 degrees colder than what it is out here. So that is where we're at currently, and I will keep you guys up to date. I'll have some live cams for you, and we'll keep you aware of what is going on in the greater Charlotte and upstate of South Carolina. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
So that was video number 1. Let's look and see what we saw for video number 2.
So this is what South Carolina snow looks like. This is about as hard as it's been all day. This is probably the heavier precipitation that we were looking at. So my prediction was right as far as the snow was coming, but we'll see if my 1 inch, or I think I said 2 inches today and then 1 inch tomorrow, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the dry air got us, but it looked like it was a possibility. It looked like it had some guts, but we'll see. We'll check back in a little bit and see what it looks like.
That was video number 2, and as you saw, the snow was really starting to come down. It looked like he was going to have some collection ability. So let's see what happens in video number 3.
So we are in the thick of it right now. I'm thinking about an hour or 2. If we're lucky, maybe 3 hours of this type of snow, but it is swirling around. It is cooling the air. Massive, massive snowflakes. Some of the biggest I've seen out here in years. Big snowflakes. We usually don't get that kind of snowflake. It's usually not what we see in South Carolina, but I mean, I've seen it before, but it's been a really long time. Nothing's sticking yet, but it's really cold out here now. I was out earlier where it was doing nothing, and it felt like it was about 37, 38. It is absolutely freezing out here now. So the snow is here, and it is absolutely coming down. Crazy. We'll see if it was too warm on the ground, though.
So what we felt there was the amount of cold air that was blasting at us and was swirling all around. Some of the fattest snow I've seen in almost since I've been here, since '07. And it really felt like there was going to be a good chance for there to be some sticking on the ground. But as you can see, it was having a lot of trouble. The main reason why is the enormous amount of dry air, and it was almost 50 degrees yesterday, so the ground wasn't very cooperative. Let's see if we have some more videos.
You don't want to be a snow dog? Look at the snow. Look at the snow. You don't like it?
So that's my dog, and when he was a lot younger, he loved the snow, but now he's like, I don't want to be anywhere a part of this. I don't like the rain. It's cold. Let me just get back in the house. So, well, those were the video updates of what it looked like in South Carolina during that first wave of snow. Now let's talk about what's happening on February 20th. February 19th doesn't want to give up. Currently, it's 7:40 and on the 19th, and it looks like we're going to get a little bit more snow here. As the radar indicates, it looks like we're going to get around 8:15 another good burst of snow. That was kind of what the forecast looked like, that we were going to get off and on snow, but it was going to be very, very light until February 20th. So once February 20th, which is just in a few hours, let's take a look at the models, find out what they look like. Here we have the GFS. Now, the GFS ended up going snowier, but it really kept a large amount of dry air that really depressed the system, and you can see that. But it is showing that we are going to get some intermittent snow, it looks like, throughout the evening. And then as we go into the right around 7 a.m. around tomorrow, we get another push of snow right here. I am believing that this might be some of the bigger snow that we end up getting from all this whole thing down in South Carolina. This thing is not dead yet. The low decided to go straight up, and it spun all this energy around. And now we're going to see the fruits of the labor of what this storm really did. So the GFS says, yes, we're going to get some more snow. Let's see what the Euro says. Here's the Euro, and it says that we are in a dry spot. The Euro got very dry, just like the Canadian did yesterday and this morning. And now it's saying that there is still the ability to have some level of intermittent. So right around 7, there's still some in the Charlotte area, just some light snow. So it's really did some really good job. The Euro came together. Now right around 1 a.m. tomorrow, and then comes back in 7 a.m. They're saying a pretty good amount of snow that settles in for 7 to 10, or maybe 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. that the greater Charlotte area and maybe the Statesville area probably going to get a lot of snow. Let's take a look and see what the Canadian did. So the Canadian said right around 1 p.m. on the 19th. So here we are on the 7 p.m. So it says that we're still pretty dry, but we do get some amount of snow that starts to form out in the mountains. And you can see the setup as it's going, and it really explodes around 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. And then it comes down, and it says, so the Canadian is saying it's sticking with the dry. So unfortunately, the Canadian has been right, but the GFS had it really snowy, and the Euro was the snowiest, but then it came down and started drying it out as well. So those are the future casts for tomorrow morning for February 20th. So it looks like 2 of the 3 models are saying that we're going to get a pretty good dose of snow in the southeast tomorrow morning, which is going to make some pretty hazardous travel for the drive in. And as somebody that got called out of work today because of the huge snowstorm we were supposed to get, we never got it. So Jake Man got a snow day, but tomorrow might be the real test for Charlotte and the upstate of South Carolina, and seeing a lot of the freeze over tonight because of the brutal cold temperatures coming down. So let's take a look and see of what those temperatures are really going to do tonight and then tomorrow night. I want everyone to take a pretty good look at this. This is unbelievable what we're about to see here. So this was the 16th of February. So this was just a couple of days ago. And we were talking about that wedge, that ridge of warm air that possibly could affect this storm, but it did come in, and it wasn't the fact that the warmth did anything. It was the fact that the dry air came down. So we're going to bump up to around the 18th, and let's get to the 19th right in there. So 7 p.m., let's see, 1 a.m., here we go, 7 a.m., the 19th, and 1 p.m., 7 p.m., February 19th. Already, you have the amount of cold air that is barreling through the entire United States is phenomenal. It's, I would say, 2/3 of the entire United States is way below where they should be. And it was really amazing how much wintry precipitation ended up occurring during this time. So yeah, February can be a wet month, but usually you don't see that meeting of this amount of cold air that comes down and gives us some southern storms. Now, here's where it goes crazy. As cold as that looks, just like that, I could stop the video right now, but watch what happens. So we go into 1 a.m. February 20th, 7 a.m. February 20th, and look how cold it gets sitting over the entire southeast. This is one of the coldest parts on the earth, and it's sitting over top of Texas to Maine, and it is an enormous amount of cold air. Does that stick around? So that is now, we're into 1 a.m. February 21st, and it's still cold. It's still brutal. 7 a.m. 1 a.m. February 22nd, brutal cold. All of a sudden, things start to change, but not until February 23rd, still 23rd, and then the warm-up finally in 1 a.m. February 24th. We're still in the southeast have an enormous amount of cold air that is sitting over top of us. So we might get a couple of 60s. We're not going to see those huge jumps. Just about 7 or 8 days ago, maybe it was about maybe a week and a half ago, we got an 80-degree day in South Carolina. So we're very accustomed to seeing these 80-degree days and these 19-degree nights in February. But what this is showing is that the rest of the country is extremely warm or warmer. And then all of a sudden we don't catch up until all the way into February 25th. And that's when things start to warm up for us. So it is the 19th. So we're still looking at a few 6 days of cold, brutally cold air. We even get a little dose of it on February 26th, where it keeps us really cold and the rest. The hot air is coming. It is coming. It always comes. But right now, look at the next one. So all the way through February 27th, another enormous amount of cold air. February is not done, folks. All right. This is the 27th. So you're seeing now another extreme dip. Does this move over to the southeast? I don't know. Let's see what happens. It moves over and boom, there it is. So you have the West Coast is going to be much warmer than it normally is. And the East Coast is going to be much colder than it normally is, all the way through February 28th. So what does that set up for March? I don't know, but we're going to find out. And we're going to keep on going, and we're going to watch these temperature anomalies. We're going to watch these. I really like looking at temperature anomalies because it shows patterns. Sometimes you get into these wild ideas about what one day is 70 degrees and the next day is 25 degrees. But does that really put together a picture from the averages and the temperature anomalies as far as seeing what's happening? Yes, we are the Atlantic front, but we are affected by the West. But right now, as far as March 1st, we are still unbelievably cold as far as the future cast. So does it cool off? Does it come? And we get another one, almost another polar vortex of cold air that comes in from March 2nd. We're going to have to see if this stands up, but we are really going to watch this a lot, because all we need is one more of those Gulf storms to form and then marry up, just like today, marry up with this cold air, and we have another southern storm, and we could have it in March. We've seen it before. So you guys are going to have to stay tuned. It looks like things are winding down as far as the weather's concerned, but it really is getting real interesting. I sure hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've enjoyed it like crazy. I was off about an inch today on the amount of snow, but I'm getting better with my predictions. Again, I'm not a forecaster. When the models tell me something, I'm going to tell you guys. Let's have some fun at the Atlantic front. Make sure and like and subscribe. Come on back, and we'll see you next time.